just hear my wife screaming. And then I took my phone out because it was Father's Day. And it was, everybody's like, why is he on his phone? Stacey was telling me. And then she was like, he's calling his dad. Because Stacey told me the whole day. She's like, call your dad as father. I was like, I'm not calling him until this is over.
Yeah.
And I was on the phone with him while I was getting the water. I was like, Dad, we won. Which was so dope. Which was so dope.
Folks, welcome to the Playbook. For anyone who's visiting the Playbook for the first time, just to give you a little idea of what we are, the Playbook is my way of extending my community, my network to an extended community, so we can just hear other people's journeys and hopefully draw inspiration, tips, and motivation. And we're going to do this just through some honest conversation, asking the questions that you don't typically hear, right? You hear the success, but what happens from the dream to the success? With that being said, I'm happy to have my good friend Eden Marryshow on the show with us. Eden, what's up?
What's going on, right?
Right. So it's funny because every time I say my good friend, I can hear a listener be like, man, you ain't got these many friends. But I really do.
Nah, you know? That's your vibe. It always has been.
Right? So we're going back 30 years. So with that being said, one of the reasons why I wanted you on the show so bad was, it might have been 10 years ago when you had Bruce.
Oh, yeah. It was almost that, like 8 years or something like that, yeah.
So we run into each other, and my man is selling his DVDs. And I'm like, this is my man. And I believe in, if you wanted to pay for someone else's production, pay for your people's production, right? So I'm like, yo, boom, no questions asked. Give it to me. And I go home and I watch it. Then eventually I see it on Amazon. And I'm like, wow. And I said to myself, and I asked myself this years ago, how? Not how for lack of talent, but how does, we grew up in Brooklyn. Like, how you were always late. How do you get to a point where you're producing a funny high-end production that's being shown in movie theaters? And I'm like, so when I created this, I was like, man, I gotta get my man on this project and talk to me, man. So Eden, did you always know you wanted to be an actor, or was there a point in your life where you say, I'm gonna course correct and say this is what I'm gonna decide to invest my life into?
Yeah, I think this is kind of always what I wanted to do. I mean, there's always like the only way we saw ourselves represented when we were kids, right, was either like the music industry or like, an athlete. So you know what I mean? I love Patrick Ewing. That was my guy. I wasn't gonna be 7 feet tall, and I didn't have the skills like that. You know what I mean? And I wasn't like you. I didn't play organized football. You know what I mean? We played in the street. Couple whiplashes in. I'm like, maybe not. But the one thing was like my father wasn't an athlete. Neither was they weren't interested in it at all. But the way we bonded was through film. So we watched movies and went to the theater and stuff and things like that. And when I was maybe it was around 10 or 11, my dad kind of like restarted he started like this acting troupe. It's called Resolutions Theater Company, and it was so we lived in Flatbush on Fenimore Street in one of those old Victorian houses, and then in the basement my dad put up some studio lights with some friends. We would have rehearsals and stuff in the basement.
Holy cow!
Yeah, man. And so my he's still an educator, like 50 years in. So he worked for the Board of Ed, Department of Ed it became. And man, so he would come home from work, he would write these plays, he would go in the basement. We would rehearse them, and then we would put them on. There was a place called the Crane.
Who's we? The troupe?
Yeah, my dad and my mom.
Oh.
Basically, it was like dinner theater, right? So my dad, do you hear all that in the background?
Nah, you good, brother. Okay. Don't interrupt, because you got me hooked right now. Like, what?
Yeah. So
I feel like I failed my kids. Go ahead.
Okay. So my dad wrote the plays, got the troupe together. We would put them on, and then my mom did the dinner part of the dinner theater, like if like 100 people came or whatever, there'd be like, my mom would be making like 100 like chicken legs and thighs, and then we would come, serve folks, put the play on at like the Crane Theater was a spot, the Brooklyn War Memorial downtown Brooklyn, bunch of other places. So like, I was traveling, and like I'm sure your kids feel this way, or you felt this way, but I just wanted to be like my dad, man. So anytime I get close to my dad, it was like, yeah, man. So I watched, and I was like, oh, this is what I want to do. And then I was telling the story the other day. We did a play, and there was a woman, because we didn't afford understudies. So one of the lead characters, she got sick. She had the flu.
Yeah.
So my dad was gonna cancel the show. He's gonna lose money and stuff. And I'm like, And I was like, yo, Dad, I know the lines. And I was like 13, and he's like, what are you talking about? I was like, yo, I know the lines. Just like put me in a wig.
Yeah.
Put some. I'm good. Like I know the lines.
Eden, man, you've had a beard since you were 9. Yeah, how is this gonna work, bro? But go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt, man. I'm like, I know this.
I had a little peach fuzz up here. Maybe I was 12. No, I think I was 13. Yeah. So 13 for So you know what? Yeah, no, I was 13. So so I did that, and I just loved, I loved performing. I loved every aspect of it. And then my dad was like, yo, you serious about this? And I was like, yeah, I'm serious. I want to do this. And then, I got the tech. We both went to Brooklyn Tech.
Yeah.
I got the tech, and it was just like, I wasn't concerned with actually doing real work. And I was just, wanted to hang out, and was into the ladies and stuff. And then he was really hard on me. And I was like, yeah, nah, I don't want to do this, man. Nah, I'm good. So then I kind of stepped away. But then when I went to college, I was like, none of this stuff interests me but making movies.
Okay.
And I would, we had like a little home video, because we were making like Mason and Dave and all of, like, we'd be making these like rap videos in the basement. So that was it. And then once I got to college, and once I had my own kind of, I guess, my own agency, I was like, yeah, this is what I want. Like, this is it. This is the only thing that I'm interested in.
Sure.
Yeah. And I realized, I just realized when my mom passed a few years back, I was like, oh, she always ended up every conversation with, that's the story. That's the story. So I was like, oh yeah, I'm like conditioned to tell stories. And I feel like stories are the reason why we've been able to get to where we are as human beings, so as a race of people. So yeah, I'm like, I love stories.
So what's fascinating, because again, the playbook is almost self-serving as well, because I'm always fascinated, right? Because at this age, I'm just like, what's in people's heads? Because you realize what's up here really does change the game. As an athlete, they would tell you, it's 10% physical, 90% mental, right? But I'm almost emotional right now, because it's the contribution of your family and your father, and creating this environment and fostering whatever comes out of it, and encouraging and making you a part of the process. And it's probably the first time, and this is probably my 63rd episode overall, right? It's the first time that I'm hearing it this way. That my dad, we just brought in, and my dad was my role model. I don't know if I'm my son's role model. I know I'm his checkbook, but I don't know if I'm his role model yet.
I'm sure you are.
So you had the phase, you got distracted a little bit in high school like a teenager, and it is what it is, right? And those of us,
it was wild, bro.
Yeah, but those of us who went to our high school will know. Yeah, there's a reason why the girls in our high schools were pretty phenomenal,
Yes.
But
in every way, that was the thing, though, right? Like it was just all had the total package.
Smart. Yeah. I'm not gonna stay there. I'm not gonna stay there.
Yeah, 100%.
But so now you decided in college, right? So did you start studying it in college, or was it because I've already done this in the basement, I'm just gonna go in the streets and just start doing what I want to do? Like, take me through that trip.
It is a combination. So one, I went to the best public schools growing up. We went to Brooklyn Tech. I was always bored because like if I wasn't so like in high school, like I screwed up, man. The only reason I really got into college was because of my SAT score. So like but if I found something that interested me, I was going in. Right. So when I got to college, when I went to Brooklyn College, I was always in the library because I was getting to learn things I wanted to learn. Like I was interested. You see what I'm saying? So like, our boy Frederick Douglass back there, I was digging in. I was digging in the crates on that.
My guy.
Exactly. Bob too. I like this kind of as a Frederick Douglass look, man. We get to
you know what's funny? That's what my barber calls me.
Yeah, I love it, man.
I still got a little street to me, so nobody knows my real name. You know what I
mean? Yeah.
But exactly. My barber, I call him. It's Frederick Douglass, man. I need to get a little shape up here. Yeah, I got you, Fred. So it's funny awesome. You say that. But go ahead.
That's like one of my dude. Like when I think about a dream part, like that. That's it. So it was the combination of like going to school. I was at Brooklyn College, and going through the film course there. Film production, and then it was kind of like growing up I was surrounded by like rappers, musicians, because again like that was one of the only ways to like really get out, right?
I
had a privileged childhood, let's be clear. It wasn't like I just also want to say that like I grew up around just greatness and love, so some of my boys were rapping, and I also knew all of this energy that was from hip-hop, so it was like the kind of the collegiate kind of part of it, but then it was also like the Wu-Tang kicking the door, Biggie waving the 4-4 kind of thing, where I'm just like, I'm just gonna do this. So we would do, while I was in school, man, we would do these B-Cat movie of the weeks. So
bro, you did not say B-Cat.
Yeah,
I was B-Cat certified. Like
let's go.
So anyway, go ahead, continue, man. This is crazy.
So like in the late 90s, early 2000s, like that's what we would do. We would make these movies in like 3 weeks. It'd be like 48 to like an hour, 48 minutes to an hour.
Yeah.
And then there was this woman named Nicole who did the programming at B-Cat. And then we just started doing like these movie of the weeks. And then we became like hood superstars, like where people would be like, yo, I like that. So it was kind of the encouragement from that. And I ended up getting into some issues at film school at Brooklyn College, and kind of like, to keep it short, I took a step back, but I was always making stuff with my friends, like always. So then I was trying to make this movie. I made this film, Eclipse, that was supposed to be for my boys had this group Eclipse, and I was like, yo, what could really set y'all off is if we made a movie.
Yeah. You're ahead of your time, and all of this is ahead of your time.
Crazy, yo. Like all of this, like what do they call it, like street cinema or whatever, like all this, like, we were doing that. We were the first because like everybody was just doing hip hop, like everybody was just making music. So, but the one lesson I learned from that, for anybody, it was the lack of consistency. I feel like with the lack of belief in yourself, a lot of times comes like the lack of consistency. And I didn't necessarily, even though I was surrounded by all this love and whatever, like I just didn't believe.
So let's stay there.
Yeah.
What was the turning point to get you to believe in yourself? What was the turning point that you looked at yourself? Because for those who don't know you, man, you are an extremely humble guy. Humble, gracious, inviting. It's like, Eden, all of us, like, we love Eden because Eden's just, he's cut from a different cloth. You're from our area, from the hood. But you're just such a nice guy. So what was that moment where you're just like, I'm good at this. Not that I'm good at doing it. I can own my space in this. Like, what took you to the belief?
I think it's a constant kind of like back and forth, right? Because there's still times where I still like will doubt myself, But then I was like, yo, man, okay, let's say everything that you're saying in your head about yourself is true.
Yeah.
Why can't it still happen? There's all these other cats out here that don't care half as much as you. You know what I mean? And that's what I kind of talk to my friends about too. And they're like, oh, whatever. So it's like, with this industry, it's like, oh, you're not pretty enough. You're not this enough. You know, many people on television are not as pretty as you, or not as, you know what I mean, or just don't care. That's the other thing too. You get around and stuff, and you're like, oh, this person actually doesn't even care, and they are all the dreams.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's just like, come on, man. Like, so
it's a mindset, right?
100%.
It's a mindset. So
yeah.
And again, I didn't tell the listeners some of your projects, right? I mentioned Bruce, which was hilarious. Which, funny enough, I just went on Amazon. You can still buy it now for like $3.99. I think I bought it for like a little more. I bought it from you, and I bought it on Amazon.
Oh, my bad.
Right?
Yo, yeah, okay. Keep going.
Go ahead. You were gonna say something?
No, I was gonna say that, you know, so when I left the Board of Education, like the year before, I made a film called This Thing Called Love. And it was like a romantic comedy. I made it for $300, which is my friends.
Yeah.
I think we rented a club, and like I bought like a pizza for everybody. And we made this, you know, we made this film, man. And then and then when I quit the Board of Ed, that's how I supplemented my income for a year. Because I was selling it in the hood, and then we went to like Atlanta. That's when I saw you in front of TLC, right?
Yep.
And you were one of the first people to buy it from me. And I felt really comforted to see your face, because it's hard out there. So what we would do is, I had a flat screen television in my apartment.
I remember you were carrying it.
Holy shit. Yeah. So I would carry the flat screen, and it was hooked up to a battery, a car battery. And I had this old, I was telling somebody last week, I had this old conversion van that everybody was cracking on me about. And then me and my boy Sean would be out there holding it. And you were one of the people, one of the first people that came. And it's hard, man, when you're like waiting out there, you're trying to get people's attention.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, you're like, no, I'm really actually trying to do something good for us. Like, I'm trying to make some good content, you know, that we could all like laugh about. So we sold like 3,000 copies of that. And I supplemented my income for a year. And then the whatchamacallit hit, the recession or whatever you want to call it hit in 2008.
Yep.
And then it just dried up. And then in 2009, I made a New Year's resolution. I was like, yo, I gotta get into an acting class so I could meet more people in the industry, and people that, you know, because my block always supported me, but everybody had their own thing that they were doing. So it was like, so I was like, yo, I gotta meet some actors so I could make these movies. And that's how I kind of like jumped into the more like quote unquote professional side of it.
So it's interesting, because I always like to draw lessons, right? One is that consistency you mentioned. One is, you know, fight the self-doubt. It's okay sometimes if you're not sure, but really ask yourself, what's there to lose at this? And then it's the community. You know, Dr. A.R. Bernard always says, you don't grow in isolation, you grow in community. And it's finding, you know, not leaving your people, but expanding that network in that community, especially if you're in pursuit of a passion or a dream. So I didn't tell people listening or watching, you are a writer, producer, and storyteller, right? You've been in The Blacklist with my guy Raymond Reddington, right? You've been in right?
Yes,
right? You've been in Blue Bloods, you've been on screen with Queen Latifah. You know, like you are a legit mainstream actor, right?
Appreciate
that. And I think the Kennedy Center even acknowledged you and awarded you. So let's go there. Tell me a little bit about this Kennedy Center relationship.
Oh, no. What happened was I did a couple shows at the Kennedy Center. I did one show that was for like Theater for New Audiences, which is like a teenage kind of show. And it was called Game On. And this is like when I just got out of my acting conservatory or whatever. And it was interesting because I played like there's this little girl who has this who's obsessed with games, but she isn't getting out in the world. And then like this magic thing happens, and then I'm like the game master. I come and basically like take her through her life and show her that like there's people out here, like your life is worth living. And I had a really great friend who I was in the show with. Her name is Goldie Patrick, and she just recently graduated from Columbia. And she's a great writer. And one time she was just like, it's so crazy when I'm on stage with you, Eden. I feel like there's this last scene.
Take your time, brother.
Yeah. It's crazy how like all these years later you still there's this last scene where I'm talking to, excuse my language, when you're talking to I'm talking to the little girl. She's always like, yo, there's this crazy energy coming from you in that scene. And not crazy in a bad way, but just like this intense energy. And I was like, so look, I've said this a million times before. The only reason I'm like talking to you now about this ride is because I had a student. Her name was Latina Bilbro. And she's the first kid I met when I was teaching at Far Rockaway at P256. And I always say this, she had like on her North Face, she had like this, she had Vaseline on her face because, you know, it was like March or something. It was cold. And she said, yo, who the fuck are you? And she's like 8 years old. I was like, yo, what? I was like, what kind of business is this? And anyway, she was my baby and like out of my class for about 3 years. And I wasn't old enough to be like a father figure, excuse me. But she was everything to me in a lot of ways. She helped me become a man. And so she was shot in a drive-by a week after at 18th birthday. And I just promised her in the casket. I was just like, yo, I'm going to make this happen for the both of us because she believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. And so when I was talking to Goldie, I remember having this conversation with her. I was like, that's who I'm.
That's who you're channeling. Yeah.
I'm talking to in that moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was one of the things at the Kennedy Center. And then shortly after the pandemic, I did it's like the Broadway something, and it was Guys and Dolls, you know what I mean? And I'm not a singer or a dancer, but leave it to me to get cast in some joint like that. Which was crazy, but my father, like, yo, it was wild to see how, like, that was the first play that my dad did when he was in high school.
Oh, wow.
So when he found out I was in Guys, which I was like, yeah, all right, I'm going to do Guys and Dolls.
Yeah.
They offered me this thing. And, yo, the way my pops was acting was, you know, he was like he was 5 years old.
Yeah. I can imagine.
Dude, he drove down to DC like 3 times to see it. You know, at Kennedy Center, it's like a really, it was a true honor to be a part of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a nationally recognized center for the arts.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah.
It's like the top of the bee's knees, as they say. So, that was,
that's crazy.
Yeah, man.
So take me, before we get into some of the other things, take me behind the scenes of Bruce, right? For those who aspire, right, to own their own content, to write their own content, to put their legacy out there. Because to me, that's what the beginning of Bruce is among some of your other projects. You're transitioning into, you're transitioning to ownership. And for those who don't follow, who should, a lot of your stuff is really centered around cultural relevance, social impact, and identity. But take me into like the business side of Bruce and the discussions with Amazon, or maybe it is you just do a wholesale account and say upload.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, no. I'm excited to talk about this. Well, how you make something like Bruce is like what you said earlier, right? Is what I said. It's like it's about the community. It's about finding your people, right? That believe in what you're doing, and then being able. I was saying this before, like the thing that I learned from my mom and my dad was like they would go out of their way for anybody. And I'm trying to say this to anybody who ever listened, like the most selfish thing you could do is to try to be selfless. Like if you could try to, like you look at somebody like yourself, right? Like you were always, ever since we were kids, man, you were always looking at, you were like, yeah, what can I do? How can I help? And because of that, your life in some ways might be harder, but in a lot of other ways it's easier.
No, you're right.
It's just like, yo, you just be like, oh, yo, I got that. I remember when you did this for me before. And it's just like, most of us walk through the world, you know, we're in a state of lack, being like, oh, I need to hoard these resources.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That scarcity mindset.
Scarcity mindset with, like, if you were a Native American, you know, if you're in any kind of other like alternative culture, like, yo, you would be kicked out of the tribe. You either got to die of starvation or wolves are going to eat you. Like, that's mental illness to them.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying? So like, that's what happened. I found the tribe. I told everybody what happened. What really happened was I went to LA. I have another film I wrote called Peanut, which is dedicated to Latina. Had like 9 meetings. I was on my boy Alani's couch, sleeping, and then like all the meetings got canceled. I was like, yo, I'm not used to it. Like, we're from Brooklyn. It's like your word is usually your bond. So I was like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
So I was on the phone with my wife. At the time, it was my girlfriend, and I was just like, I don't know what to do. And then we had the idea at the same time. It's like, yo, it was called Hitting 30 at the time. Because I wrote it when I was hitting 30. Me and my boy Jesse, we was hitting 30, and we were just talking about just like funny things and like blowing them out of proportion. And that was a first draft that we just put to the side because some friends that we trusted to read it, they were like, yo, this is trash, basically. And that's also what you have to, first of all, anytime you write something, like, it's gonna be trash the first time you write it, right? It's like you need the clay to make the sculpture. And a lot of times
that's powerful. So I don't want to interrupt you. Go ahead. That's powerful though. Like, that first attempt is not the final attempt. So it's okay if it's not perfect or even good.
And it's not like you expect it to be trash. Like, because like, who do you think you are that you are going to write a first draft of anything and it's going to be like mind blowing, right? And that's the thing that stops everybody from doing things. But you know, like, a sculptor doesn't look at clay and just decide to throw it out, right? Like, that's what you need, right? Like, a lot of times the editor comes in too early when you're trying to write something. That doesn't matter what it is. It's just like, nah, that ain't good. Well, it's not supposed to be good yet. Get the fuck out. You know, like, I'll picture it in my head. I'll picture somebody coming in the door and it's just like, all right, we got to make this. I'm like, yo, not your time yet. I'll tell you when you're ready.
Got you.
Right?
Got you.
So with Bruce, that's actually so it was the idea of Sasa and I having the same idea at the same time. It's like, I feel like when two people have the same idea at the same time, it's coming from a different place. I act on it. We had like $2,500 in the bank that we had to pay our rent with. It was like, all right, we just gonna miss a month of rent and then had to catch up. So we had like $2,500. Got a bunch of my friends in the room. We read it, and I just made a declarative statement. We're gonna be shooting this in 2 months. And I find that most of us will do more for other people than we'll do for ourselves. So if it was going to be a me thing where I was like, yeah, I'm going to make this. No, I actually announced this to a group of people.
Yeah.
And it's like, I can't, the way my mind works, I can't deal with that. The idea of not doing it.
Yeah. You put it out there. Yeah. Now you got to make it happen.
Now you got to make it happen. And the thing that I got comfortable with, the reason why I haven't made Peanut yet, there's many reasons. There's money reasons. There's all kinds of things. But it's the thing I care about the most. Right? So there's just this preciousness. And most of us move through the world like that, where like it's this precious thing that never gets made. But what I'll do is I'll be like, okay, there's this precious thing over here, but I'm gonna make this other thing that's not as precious. And and I realize that it's probably gonna suck. So because I realize it's probably gonna suck, I know to say like, this might not be good, comma, yet. There's a lot of power with the comma yet, right?
Yeah.
I heard like Tom Billy or somebody say that, and it really stuck with me. Or maybe it was in the two really foundational books, man. Grit by Angela Duckworth and Mindset by Carol Dweck. In those books, I was like, oh yeah, it's okay. It's not going to be good yet. If I can get good with the comma yet, because I'm not going to get better if I don't do anything. And that was the thing. So we came back. We had a production value. We had a production budget of $2,500. We made the movie. My good friend Gene, who played my dad in the film, was on set, and he was like, "Yo, I kind of like how this is." He was like,
"Yeah,
if I want to see the dailies," and so the dailies are just like what you shot during the day. He's like, "I want to see something." He saw the dailies, and he was like, "All right, I want to pay for the editing and for the post production." And that's the thing. That's the other thing I try to be. People says like, listen, just common sense. You would think that, all right, the boat has to be docked. The train has to be at the station for you to get on it.
yeah,
People do not get on. They will jump onto a moving train or moving boat. That's it.
They need to see momentum. They need to see motion.
And it's because, everybody's talking, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Once they see somebody like doing it, it doesn't matter what level they're doing it at, but it's like, oh, this person's actually, I want to get involved.
You know why though? You know my thinking behind that is, not to cut you off.
No, please.
It's because no one wants to stay at the stop, right? So if they know you're moving, then they know there's a great chance of you at least arriving at a destination. Right? So like it goes back to taking the trains back here. There's a stop, President Street. If you're coming from Flatbush on the 2 train, no matter what, you're gonna be stuck at President. It was the worst feeling. I'd rather you be moving slowly. So at least I feel like we're going someplace that no one.
Yeah.
So, but I just thought about that. But that's really dope. So now,
a good point.
That's the inspiration behind that. And then, so did you have to talk to studio heads? How'd you sell the project?
So so you have like a sales agent. So first step usually is you go on a festival tour, right? So like the largest Black festival, or one of the largest Black festivals and legacy festivals is ABFF, the American Black Film Festival. There's Martha's Vineyard. There's Urban World, right? AF, all it. So you go to these festivals, and then the plan is like you're going to meet a distributor there, right? But the industry it was starting not to work like that anymore. And so we won ABFF, and then we won Martha's Vineyard, won the HBO award and the audience award at Martha's Vineyard. And we got in the Urban World. We had some momentum, and then a sales agent came along. Cool. We decided to go with. Who, in retrospect, it was just the wrong. You realize like some people they're just not serious people. They talk a lot. This same dude reached out to me for Can You Stand the Rain and didn't realize that he repped this other film. I was like, yeah, that's crazy, right? And it's like there's just these bottom feeders. So we got with them, and then we got with the distributor. And in retrospect, and what I know now is, to your point about owning your own stuff, is like I should have just done all that stuff myself. There's places now that maybe didn't exist then. Called Film Hub. There's this real dope dude. His name is Greg Maurice. He's a Haitian dude from Brooklyn.
Love it. Love it,
man. So he's a quiet dude. He's very Brooklyn, keeps his word. My boy just had a film with him. And there's spots like that where they do like an 80-20 split. So they serve as what's called like a distributor and also an aggregator. So they can get your stuff. There's all these kind of processes, like they call it QC, that you have to your film has to look a certain way, it has to sound a certain way for it to go to different platforms. Like a Netflix or like a Tubi, right? Because a lot of the filmmakers now are making money on Tubi, because they're what's called AVOD. They're advertising video on demand, where Netflix is SVOD, subscription video on demand. So
gotcha.
Right, so you're subscribing to Netflix every month. The way Tubi works is, the more successful your film is, the more people are watching it, the more advertisements they're putting on your joint, and then you, the filmmaker, get more money.
It's like YouTube.
So it's a really viable platform for independent filmmakers, where this is kind of disappearing. So like in retrospect, like the distributor was able to get it on Amazon Prime, on Apple. I think we were on Tubi for a while. We still might be on Tubi. But now it's funny because I was like, it's funny you bring up Bruce, because I was like in the shower this morning where I feel like I get some of my best ideas. I was like, I think I'm just gonna throw Bruce up on YouTube.
Why not?
Yeah. Like why? Because the deal, like it's usually like these 5-year, 10-year deals.
It's
like,
up.
It's up. So I'm like, yeah, I think I might do that. got this other like Eclipse. I think I might just start throwing stuff up there just so people could, could check
right.
it out. But you know,
and you can know Eden and could get to know Eden a little bit better, the man behind it, because people like you, as far as I believe, are what children like I was need to see.
Yeah.
Right. Because hear you, listen to you, and I'm like, he's like me. I didn't realize how much representation mattered until I had children, and I'm a very hands-on dad. So I've coached everything. I've done everything, but the media still tried to take a hold of my children, right?
Oh, that's right. You were talking. Yeah, please talk about this, man.
Right? No, because my son, attended his school, but his mannerisms, and I realized I did the same thing with hip hop. I didn't grow up, speaking a certain way, but it's hard once you start hearing Biggie. When you start hearing the woo, you get what I'm saying? All of a sudden, I'm from Staten Island, right? So, but I started hearing my son and seeing what he cared about and what he wanted to simulate to. And I was like, wait a minute, your dad is here. I've taken you so many different places. You've been to other countries. Yeah. I've taken you and you've met owners. Why? And then it made me realize, why did I think I can even go to college? It was because not of my father and mother. Because Dr. Huxtable, right? For whatever you feel.
Exactly.
Hillman. I'm just like, oh, this is the next step of evolution for me, is to go to college. I thought Hillman was real. I still don't know if it is, if it isn't, right? Don't matter, right? That's I want to be like Theo. I'm going to go get my master's at NYU. This is all stuff. And that's when I realized, wow, the content inspired me so much, because that was my sibling. If I didn't have a sibling, it was what I was seeing on TV. And so I say all this to say, it's one of the reasons with the Playbook is people need to know Eden. They need to see more of these ground level stories. The Ryan Coglers, like that dude, I love hearing him talk, because you can hear the Compton, you can hear it.
Yeah, he's where he's from. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Right. And so hearing him talk and seeing his success, and someone who had to learn English, it's okay if I don't talk a certain way. I can own whoever I am. So anyway, I don't want to get off my soapbox, but this is one of the reasons why I want to, have these discussions.
Wait, hold on. When did you learn English?
So I went to an English as a second language school from kindergarten to 13 to 8th grade. Sorry. Yeah.
What?
So yes, my parents had me young. So without putting my parents' business out there,
yeah, no doubt.
I was born like 4 months after they came into the country, right? And so my parents didn't speak English. So I grew up in my native tongue of Haitian Creole, right? Of Creole. Yeah. And then you go to a school. My school is half Hispanic, 1,000 kids, half Hispanic, like half Haitian.
Where was the school, yo?
It was right there in Bronzeville. Like for those, yeah, right there in the corner of what street is that? Buffalo and East New York, right there.
Oh,
right near Sutter train station. Now people are like, hey, you guys are saying all this stuff. We're not from Brooklyn. We don't know. But too bad, right? But and I had to learn it, and then it becomes your dominant language, because obviously I'm in school, and by the time I'm in 2nd, 3rd grade, I'm speaking English. However, I didn't have control of the grammar. So that was always my biggest fear of being in front of people, because I was the dude that would say conversate instead of converse.
Yeah.
Right. If you have any Haitian friends, one of the jokes is, close the light. That's what we say.
Yeah.
And people will look at you like, you mean turn off? I was like, what? Just close the light, man. But you work through all that anyway. I say all this to say is I like to see people like you out there, and if you're on YouTube and owning your stuff, it's just like, oh, this dude is dope, and he's one of us, so to speak. He's out the mud is my new term now.
Yeah, I like. Yo, yeah, that was that Prodigy. I conversate with many men, so let me begin again.
Yep, there you go.
I already said you hear me, friend. Yeah.
So. Before we wrap this up, I did want to get to at least 2 things as quick as I can, because people listening to also know that your film was in AMC Theater in Times Square, right? And again, we're talking about a kid from, if you've been tracking, a kid from Brooklyn, right? Doing plays in his basement with his parents, right? Still never found his passion other than film. And it showed out. It showed out in high school, it showed out in college. At some point, he fought through doubt, starts producing his own stuff, and all of a sudden, right across from Aladdin is my boy Eden.
Yes.
Right? No, I'm dead serious. I went to the Aladdin, and I'm looking across the street, and I'm like, wow, how did we get there? Talk to me.
Well, I attribute that to my vision board, man. So like when I made Bruce, the house I'm in right now is my mom's place in Pennsylvania. We were like thinking about renovating, and then I just had this wall that I would just draw. And I was drawing all the things around the movie that I wanted to happen for it. So it was just like ABFF winner, MVAFF, Urban World. And then I had the AMC insignia on it. It had like nationwide release, all these things. And I would look, for like 2 years. And then I had one in my crib. So for 2 years, man, as I was making a film, getting it ready, maybe it was like a year and a half, I would sit for like, and I kind of remember these things, man, for myself even. I would do this thing called the Hour of Power that I got from Tony Robbins, right? It had a bunch of things to it, but one of them was that where I was sitting what I call experientialize. It wasn't visualized. I'd take my whole body through it. And I remember being at the ABFF for the award ceremony, and I felt like a jacket, like another person's jacket, like rub up against mine. And I just heard that winner, Eden Marryshow, Bruce, and I would take myself through this, man, through these rituals, like every day. Like I would experience it because there's this thing they call structural tension where like the brain can't deal with the fact that you aren't in the place that you're envisioning, right? And in acting, you learn that there isn't a difference between what is real and what is vividly imagined. Your body can't. That's why somebody's able to cry, right? That's why somebody's able to get really angry. Do this every day, man. And then I remember when I was at ABFF, they said the winner was the grand jury prize for best director. They said the winner is, and I blacked out. I legit blacked out. Like, and then my boy Sasha was right next to me. I was realizing this in this moment. I felt him against me. And he was like, yo, Eden. And thank God he started like lifting weights. He was a bigger dude because he was able to get me. And I could just hear my wife screaming. And then I took my phone out because it was Father's Day. And it was, everybody's like, why is he on his phone? Stacey was telling me. And then she was like, he's calling his dad. Because Stacey told me the whole day. She's like, call your dad as father. I was like, I'm not calling him until this is over. And I was on the phone with him when I was getting the award. I was like, Dad, we won. Which was so dope. And then and again, this little movie that, had a $2,500 budget, you know what I mean? And then with the AMC stuff, man, it came down to somebody that I met, Nicole Denson, who actually like runs AMC now in North America. And she was there at ABFF, and I was like, listen, I want to get my movie in there, blah, blah, blah. And I sent her like a ton of emails, man. And then finally, we had gotten the deal. We had to kind of decide if we were going to do a theatrical release. I sent one last email. I was like, hey, Nicole, I'm like up against it right now. But I really want to. And then she was like, got back to me like that. And then we got the nationwide release through AMC Independent.
That's so dope, man.
That's
so dope. And
really great.
I'm gonna wrap it there, man, because you just inspired me to really, actually paint. I'm looking at the wall right now, just paint it and just experientialize it. That's dope, man. Eden, thank you so much for joining the Playbook. I'm gonna actually stick around a little bit longer after I sign off, just to catch up. But thank you, folks. Again, if you liked what you heard, again, I suggest you follow Eden. What's your handle on social media, Eden?
It's my name, Eden Marryshow. Our new film, Can You Stand the Rain movie, is another one.
Perfect. right? Follow the YouTube because he's about to start releasing stuff on YouTube, folks, so you can see the build up to where he is now. Follow on social media. Folks, again, if you like what we're doing, we'll take suggestions, comments, anyone you want us to have a conversation with, so we can hear the stories that people often don't hear. And hopefully today you walked away with some level of inspiration, motivation, but more importantly, you added to your playbook. Thanks again, folks.
Yeah.
I'm Coach Rod. Thanks for tuning in to The Playbook. If you got value from this episode, like, comment, and subscribe. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and YouTube. Catch you next time.